Hi everyone, I'm CaliKim. Welcome to my garden. One of my greatest joys of summertime is growing strawberries. The taste of homegrown is absolutely amazing and way better than you buy at the grocery store. Now, if you're a first-time strawberry grower, or if you've been growing strawberries for a while and wondering why they're just not producing, you want to watch this video because I'm going to share with you 10 mistakes with strawberry growing that you want to avoid at all costs, so you can get a really good harvest this season. I have strawberries growing here in my strawberry crate tower, one of my favorite ways to grow them. It's basically 3 crates stacked on top of each other, lined with the Smart Pots crate liners. It's a great way to grow a lot of strawberries in a little space. I have about 20 plants in this tower. First off, strawberries do not like their crowns planted too deep. And let me show you what the crown is. Where the stem attaches, there's a little woody part. That's called the crown. So you want the roots in the ground, the crown above the ground, and then of course the stem above the ground. And the reason for this is when the crowns are covered, the strawberry plant can rot, which means it's not going to produce, or worse yet, your strawberry plant will die. Now you might be wondering, why aren't my strawberry plants producing? And it could be because you're only planting one type of strawberry. There's actually 2 different types of strawberries: June bearing and ever bearing. And I always like to plant varieties of both different types. That way I have harvests all season long. Now the June bearing varieties pretty much produce 1 crop a year around June, give or take depending on your climate. But they're nice, big, juicy berries, the biggest berries ever. But once they're done producing, they don't produce again until the following year. These are great varieties to plant if you like a whole bunch of berries at once, like to make jams or jellies or pies or that type of thing. But the everbearing will produce a couple of different crops a year. Smaller berries, they usually produce 1 crop in May or June, take a little break, and then regenerate, might have some smaller berries throughout the season, and then generally they produce another big crop in fall. So plant June bearing and ever bearing for berries all season long. Another very common mistake to make with strawberries is inconsistent watering and feeding. Definitely don't want to do that because it will really stress the plants out if they dry out, and stressed out strawberries are not going to produce. Now what I've done to compensate for this is I've installed drip irrigation here in my hanging baskets. I love growing strawberries in hanging baskets. They look very pretty hanging down from the edge. These are lined with the Smart Pot basket liners, and I can just step right outside my back door and pick some for a quick little snack. So the drip irrigation means that I don't have to remember to water. Takes the guesswork out of it because a lot of times I get busy and I can't get out here to water. Hanging baskets and containers need watered a lot more often. They're going to dry out a lot quicker. So with drip irrigation, you can set it to water once a day, which is what I do during the spring and the early summer. In the heat of the summer, sometimes these even get watered twice a day. Now, feeding is just as important. At the beginning of each season, I add a handful of worm castings to my containers and hanging baskets and just kind of scratch it in around my plants. This is a time-release fertilizer that'll feed them over the growing season. And then I give them a nice water-soluble fertilizer at the beginning of the season to kind of kickstart them into production. High nitrogen is important at the beginning, like fish fertilizer, and then my containers and hanging baskets get worm tea about every 2 weeks to really keep the production rolling along. Leaving unchecked runners in your strawberry plants is another big mistake that you can miss out on very big harvests. Now let me show you what a runner is. It's a stem that shoots off from the mother plant and it actually produces a brand new free strawberry plant. Now you might be thinking, that sounds really good. I want some free plants. However, when you're growing your strawberries during the peak of the season for fruit production, the runners can really take away a ton of energy from the plant, then you won't get as much fruit. The strawberries here in this 5-gallon Smart Pot are just waking up for the season, and they do have several runners coming out of them. Now one of the runners is actually rooted here in the ground, and I'm going to clip the runner from the mother plant so that more energy goes into making a new plant and also into producing berries for the mother plant. But if you do have a runner that hasn't rooted yet, like this one here, what you can do is just pop it in a little pot right next to the mother plant, put a landscape stable in, and it will root after a week or 2 when it gives a little bit of resistance. Cut it from the mother plant, and that way you've got another free plant and the mother has more energy for fruit production. Now during the off season, you can let your plants run as much as you want, root them, and that way you'll have free plants for next season. If you found this video helpful, click the thumbs up button and subscribe. Thanks. Another mistake that's a very easy mistake to make, especially when you're growing strawberries in containers, is overcrowding them. Now, over the winter time, I had lots of runners that actually automatically rooted in this 5-gallon container, so it definitely needs thinned out at this point in the season. Now, when you're planting berries for the very first time, you want to space them about 9 to 12 inches apart. So about 3 plants for a 5-gallon container is really perfect. But you can definitely thin them out as they grow. I like to use my garden knife for this. They're very, very resilient. It's got some really nice roots in it. See, it's still attached. This was a runner from the original plant. So we're gonna go ahead and cut that. I'm gonna pop it right up here in my herb garden, which is perfect because I really needed to fill in this area with more strawberry plants. Just pop it right in there. It's gonna take right off and it'll look really pretty with the berries kind of spilling over the raised bed. By thinning out the berries here in my 5-gallon container, it allows me to expand my berry patch and will also really drastically increase my fruit production this year because these berries will have a lot more room to spread out. The roots have more room to grow. I'll get more berries out of this container and more berries up in my herb garden too. Another way I really enjoy growing berries is putting them along the edges of raised beds. Really makes good use of the space. They're easy to tuck in, and then they just spill over the beds and they look very, very pretty. One big mistake I've made in the past before is putting them in the wrong location. They like at least 6 hours of sunlight. 8 hours of sunlight is best for full-on production. However, they don't like it too hot. They stop producing flowers and fruit once it gets over 85 degrees. And I know a lot of you live in areas in the summertime where it's way hotter than 85. So what I do is when it gets over 85 Fahrenheit, I cover them in shade cloth, and it's really a lifesaver. It allows some sunlight to penetrate, but blocks out the intensity of the sun's rays and allows the plants to still get sunlight without stressing them out with overly hot temperatures. So I like to just clip it to the sides here of my raised beds or to my tomato cages, and then once the temperatures dip down below, I take the shade cloth off so the berries can enjoy the full benefit of the sun, and you'll be amazed at how much berry production you get this way. One of the biggest mistakes gardeners make is forgetting to mulch. Now, mulch is highly underrated, and it's just a good idea to get into the practice of mulching whenever you plant, but especially with strawberries. Not only does it look very, very nice here in the raised bed, but it's a lot more than that. When you're applying a nice layer of mulch around your strawberries, you're also helping with water retention, you're reducing water evaporation, but even more importantly than that, you're protecting the roots in extreme heat and in extreme cold, because strawberries are a perennial, and the roots will survive the winter. They have a nice heavy layer of mulch under them. Good mulches to use for strawberries or for raised beds are this clean shredded straw or shredded leaves. And the strawberries are making good use of this space by serving as spillers in our raised bed. We've also got some great looking fillers in here, greens and beans, as well as the thrillers, the runner beans, and some squash in the back corner. So for more info on how to double your harvest in raised beds, check out this video here. Big mistake is to ignore pest control with strawberries because the slugs, the earwigs, the snails all love the strawberries just as much as we do. So as soon as I mulch my strawberries, I sprinkle down some of Monterey's Sluggo Plus, and it does the job in taking care of the pests. It's a bait, so the pests are attracted to the bait and then go somewhere else to die, and that way you don't have any holes in your strawberries or your strawberry leaves. It's Mac's birthday week, so make sure you tell him happy birthday in the comments. He's 13 years old today, our faithful garden dog. I cannot wait to harvest big, beautiful, juicy berries from our garden. Oh, it's one of my favorite things to do in the summertime. But if you've made some of these mistakes, don't be too hard on yourself. Just change things over and let me know in the comments which one of these strategies you'll be applying. Thanks for watching. See you next time in the garden.